I'm Lee from louleigh.co.uk. I'm Instamatic Louleigh on Instagram and Louleigh on Ravelry, and I have an Etsy shop where I sell bags that I've made on Shop Louleigh on Etsy. Welcome to the factory. This is the room where I do all the bag making. So it's a hive of activity. I just wanted to pop back this week and give you a little update on the fun times that I had in Shetland last week. I've been home for a week and I've been meaning to podcast, but this week just seems to have galloped past. Before all that though, I just wanted to say thank you to those of you that have got in touch with me over the last couple of weeks. It's been really fun to chat with you and say hello. Right, so I don't have a lot to talk about. I just wanted to share with you some of the stuff that I'd done in Shetland, and I'm going to tack on the end of this a little photo montage. Some photos so you can get an idea for yourself of what it was like. I don't take a lot of photos. I used to take tons and tons of photos, and I think that for me it's not a great way to capture the moment. I really like to just enjoy the experience, so I don't always take a lot of photos, but I'm going to put some at the end because I did take some. And had a lot of fun. Yeah, so let's just launch into it. Let me grab this one first. So I did a couple of workshops while I was there, which was really good times. And the first one that I did was with quotidian colour work with Felicity Forward, and I showed you her book. I think it might have been in number 1, about how you take an inspiration source and then you develop your own colourwork patterns around that. And I really enjoyed the book, but I hadn't started anything, and so I thought if I did the workshop with her, then it might be a good way to kick things off and, you know, just get some of her hand-on experience about putting the colours together. And that was loads of fun. I met some really nice people, yeah, and just had a really good time. So I have this in my pencils bag. I don't usually keep my bags, but I really love this one. I couldn't let it go, so I have my pencils bag. What did I do? So she gave us a notebook and we could put our own stamps on it, which was rather fun. I didn't go overboard because it's not my style. But yeah, so she had lots and lots of stamps, but I just really like this one and the fade out effect. And of course it has the grids inside, so you can practice making your own little charts there. Some of these don't look like anything at the moment. They're just the ones that I've been doodling around with and taking some notes with. So yeah, we've got a little notebook, and then we had a look at everybody's inspiration sources, which was really fun. And mine's not in here. I thought that it was. Huh, where's that gone? Right, stand by. Huh. So that's another case of thinking you've got it all together and not. So anyway, we went round and everybody showed their inspiration sources, and I had taken a picture, you've seen this one before if you've watched my earlier podcasts, of my childhood home in New Zealand. And so she helped us pick out some colours from our inspiration source, and then we all started doodling in our notebooks, and we just went forth boldly and started knitting a little swatch. So we were using Jameson and Smith yarns. That one's not attached to anything just now. I'm not going to tell you all the colours that I'm using because there's quite a few of them, but I've listed them all in my Ravelry project notebook if you did want to see which ones I'm using. I think that's focused. But they're all Jameson and Smith 2-ply jumper weight that I'm using for that. And so this is the first swatch that I started with in class, and I just wanted to try and depict sort of the hills in the background and the colours and how they went against the sky, and to have a few goes at just sort of, you know, sort of making an icon for the hills in the background. And I think it was quite interesting because, as you can see, it took me a little while to get used to the sense of sort of scale that I could use, and also the colour rhythms, because at first I was trying to make really little wee icons, and I realised that I could actually take up a lot more space and do something a bit larger and sort of more impressive. I think this one, that one, this one here, it's probably my favourite one. So yeah, I'm going to use that as a little reference and just try and work some more sort of symbols, little representations into my swatch. I actually cast this one off. I think we did it on about 36 stitches or something. I was finding the circumference a little bit awkward to work with, and I wanted to cast on a bigger swatch that would be easier to. I find colour work, the bigger the circumference, the easier it is to do, to get a nice tension and all that sort of stuff. And I also thought that I could probably go up in needle size and have a much more flowy, sort of drapey fabric, but because the yarn is it kind of blooms out, it wouldn't look, it would still look like it was, like it had a right density. It wouldn't go all holy and open and that sort of thing. So that was good good descriptions. So anyway, I wanted to start a new swatch for those reasons, and to try out some more sort of icons and symbols and things. I've been playing around with how literal I need to be with my translation of that photo, and so you can see that I have just started a new swatch there. I'm on Zings again because they're fun, and I bought these especially for this project because I plan to be doing it for a while, and so I want it to be fun for a while. They still are, they still have quite a flat end, but these are 3.5mm, so they work fine for this. And I got the longer needles as well. I don't think I needed to do that. I think there's about 56 stitches on my needles now. Let me take that one out. And I've just tried to do little houses around that one. As I said, I'm still getting a sense of the, you might not be able to see the roofs and whatnot with that, but I'm still getting a sense of the scale and how the colours work together, and how literally I want to translate that picture into Fair Isle. Yeah, so that's been lots of fun. So I came home with the yarns that I had used in my swatch and a couple of other colours, but oops, I better put that back in the bag because it's still attached to something in there. Pop these ones back in. I also got, while I was at the Jameson and Smith shop, I got their jade cards. Just so that I would have them handy if I wanted to choose some more colours, just to make life a bit easier, and because I love a shade card, they're just fun. I don't have a huge collection of shade cards, they're up there, but I do really enjoy them, and it does make life easier rather than picking colours off the internet if you're a bit particular about that sort of thing. So I got myself a full set of their shade cards. They look all lovely and fringy like that. I probably should have put them in some sort of chromatical order, or there must be a proper word for that, but anyway, chromatical order. Yeah, so that was the first class that I went to, and it was really interesting, the sort of different patterns that people were working out from their pictures. Some people had chosen landscapes like me, and some people had chosen more botanical pictures or drawings that they'd done, or some people had just been inspired by things that they'd seen in Shetland. And so it was interesting to go around at the end of the class and just see what everybody had been up to. That was really great fun. So the next class that I did was something completely different. When I go away on things like this, I like to do something that I probably wouldn't do at home by myself. And so there was a class that really interested me because I would have needed a lot of special equipment and whatnot. And so, sorry, crinkling. It won't, hold on, I'll get to the bottom of all this tissue in a minute. So, I went over to a lovely man's studio in Borough, and he is a silversmith. I suppose that's what you would call him. He makes beautiful silver jewellery inspired by feral patterns from traditional feral jerseys. And so we got to make, I hope you can see that, we got to make these beautiful silver buttons. There were two of us in his studio at the time. I think this one's my favourite one. Let me see if you can see this. And they provided the best cakes I had in Shetland the whole time. and lovely coffee as well, so that was brilliant. But yeah, it was Mike from, I've got to say this properly, I had a lesson, I had a pronunciation lesson on my way up to Borough. It was Mike from Red Hoose, not sure if I've said that correctly, and he makes lovely necklaces that are little jumper shaped with these feral patterns on them, and he showed us how to do the buttons. Well, the lady I was with actually asked to make one of the pendants, and she did a wonderful job of it. But can you see that there? I'll show you my favourite one again, because I think I just got that one catching the light when I twisted it. So, and that was a really interesting project. There we go, I think I've got it. Bit of sun on there. It was a really interesting project because, as I said, it was something that I would never do on my own. And even getting there was a bit of an adventure. So I had to, the other ladies that I was with had taken the car for the day because Mike had sent out really good instructions on how to get to his studio in Borough on the buses. And so I thought that would be a really fun adventure. I like taking little public transport adventures when I'm away on holiday. And it was quite a fun adventure. The first bus, I'm not sure where that went. I stood at the bus stop and it never came. But anyway, so I went down to the bus depot and I managed to catch the next one. Fortunately, I'd planned to be a bit early. The bus driver didn't seem to have a clue where I was going, but anyway, he waved me off at the right stop, and I managed to get my connection on this little wee country bus, and there were only 2 of us on it with the bus driver. And so these 2 fellows were giving me Shetland pronunciation lessons, and it was a good laugh. It was really good fun. And the nice thing about the little country buses in Shetland is that they will drop you off exactly outside the house you want to go to. Partly because they know where that is and who everybody is. But yeah, and then I'd said to him that if I couldn't cadge a lift back to louleigh with the other person who was on the course, that he would see me waiting for him exactly where I'd dropped him off, and so I had a little arrangement there. So that was good fun, and they told me a little bit about sort of like the industries that people, you know, mussel farming and all that sort of stuff out on Shetland. So that little bus drive ride was good fun. And when I said to Mike that I had come on the bus, he seemed slightly surprised that I'd got there unhindered. But anyway, as I say, he'd sent out really good instructions, so it seemed like a really easy thing to do, and it was. But anyway, so that's where I went and made the buttons. And so the process was really interesting. I had thought that maybe the pattern would be stamped on or something, and we didn't actually apply the pattern ourselves, although he had lots of sheets that had lots of feral patterns on them that we could choose from, because it was the process of getting the feral patterns onto the silver is actually really interesting. What he does is he collects pieces of colour work in really high contrast colours, and sometimes they're jumpers that have been given to him, and sometimes they're patterns that he's had especially knitted up in black and white. So he photographs them, and then he makes an iron-on transfer. So it irons it onto the silver, and then acid etches it onto the button. And he showed us how he did it, and that was really fun. But it never occurred to me that you would have use iron-on transfers in silversmithing. So yeah. And then we punched out our button shapes. That was the bit that I did myself, and put the holes in, and did a lot of filing and cleaning up. And we sort of highlighted all of, I forget what that process is called, when we highlighted all those dark sections in there. Now it just looks like a coin or something. I don't know what I'm going to put these on, but as I say, I would never have done this by myself, so it was a lovely souvenir from Shetland, and when I do decide to put it on something, then that will be an extra special thing. But in the meantime, I'm just going to keep them here in the factory and enjoy looking at them. So yeah, that was good times. So the last thing that I wanted to show you, I met Louise while I was there from Knit British, which was lovely because I've had some chats online with Louise, and of course she had the hap-along earlier in the year, and I donated a prize for that, and it was really fun to see everybody's haps, and I had thought that I would join the hap-along. And then I thought that I would knit a hap to wear to Shetland, and in the end I decided that I would buy the yarn for a hap in Shetland and start knitting it there. And so that's what I did. So I decided to make, let me find in front of this, to make Quill by Jared Flood, because I really like the edging that he's used on this pattern. And for once I decided I wanted one exactly like the one in the pattern, same colour and everything. And I thought it would be fun to use some genuine Shetland yarn for this pattern. So I have it here in my real Shetland wool bag, another little souvenir, and I'm using Jamieson and Smith again, and I'm using Shetland Supreme jumper weight. I like saying Supreme. So yes, just in this nice natural colour. I shall show you how far I've got. Actually, this project has turned me back into a monogamous knitter. Even while I was in Shetland, I just wanted to start all the things. And I did. And I also bought some things for some projects, and I have them in project bags with the patterns unstarted. But since I have picked up this big blob of knitting, that's pretty much all I've been working on, except when I've been out and about and I've taken my gloves. And the last time, so you start off, it's not a square on the bias like some hats, you just go back and forth, and I am onto the old shale pattern around the edge. I'd like to say I'm halfway through it, or over halfway through, but of course because it keeps expanding and growing bigger, I'm not sure I am. But I've done more than half of the eyelet rows that I need to do, so it feels like I'm really getting somewhere with it. I keep putting a little progress keeper when I start each day, so you can see I've not done many rows today from where my progress keeper is. There's usually just sort of a centimetre or so that I've done each day, so I just keep plugging away at that. And I have had a go at spit splicing. I make that face because I'm not sure about the spitting element. However, the ladies in Shetland tell me it's how to do it so that you don't get big lumpy bits in your knitting, and I think it's working. So I've just done a splice there, and you can see, I don't know if you can see the dangly bits, and I don't think it has made a big lump or anything. I don't know if you can see that at all, but it seems to have blended in quite well. I did do a normal darn somewhere in here at the beginning, and I'm not sure if you can see that that's just a bit more lumpy. I'm not too bothered about that because it's generally not going to be all spread out so that you can see it, but as much as hoiking on your knitting sounds a bit rough and ready, I think it is making a nicer, more smooth join. So at the moment it just looks like a massive blob, and I'm really liking that as I knit this thing I can just put my ball of yarn in the little bag created, so it doesn't roll around all over the place. It's like it comes with its own yarn bowl, this thing. Yeah, so I'm quite enjoying that, just going around and around. And as I had startitis, there's a lot of things that are just languishing, but that's okay. I'll pick those back up once I've finished this. So that's been good fun. I'm a little bit late in the day for the hep along, but anyway, I was inspired by it, so there you go. Shall pop it back in my bag. So those are the things that I wanted to share with you, and I hope you enjoy the pictures that I'm going to add on to the end, and I'll talk to you again soon. Cheerio!